Okay, let me do a little update. Look at this beautiful dog here. I want to get her on. That's Valentine. I'm doing a walk where my daughter lives, but it's like it's a beautiful spot. It's like being in the country. I thought of this. Valentine is a dog of Corpus Cop, which is a neighbor of my daughter, and he's a friend of mine, you know. So I just mentioned it because when I do these walks, now Valentine is sort of like in the country, so a lot of times she's kind of out in the neighborhood, and she'll run up to my car and wants to do the walk, and of course I take her with me. And the other day she swam, and then I walk all the way back. It's maybe a couple miles if we do the whole thing. So I just thought I would show you her. She was excited when she saw my car driving up, and she's a sweet dog. Sometimes on the Sunday sermon meetings, Valentine sometimes is out like front there. I usually do them inside my daughter's house. I'll do a little news update, a few little things. Today, President Trump, or at least earlier, he was in Davos, Switzerland for the World Economic Summit. It's kind of like one of the things that they do. The media is kind of surprised that he's really being greeted. Even if you listen to Nick Robertson from CNN, I think CNN, but they're like shocked that he's being received so well at a world thing. And you'd say, why would the media be surprised? Look, it's been now a year since the man's been in office who I didn't vote for, Mr. Trump. And things have happened, people, but the media and many of the Democrats in this country, they have been living somewhat in a bubble of believing that it was their job now to correct what they thought was wrongdoing, meaning Trump got in and the Russians got him in. The world's kind of moved on. And when you hear Trump talk about it in those terms, saying, look, the rest of the world's laughing, I don't think the media and a lot of the Democrats in the country are actually seeing that. This other thing I'll mention, because last night on MSNBC, which is NBC mainstream media, you're all part of it. The Color Times, all of you are part of that, what we call the mainstream media, which slants obviously towards the liberal side, but you have, historically you had liberal media. Valentine, this way, baby. Historically, you've had liberal media people, but they didn't lie and they do today for their particular side of politics. But after I read an article last night in the Color Times where a representative out of Brownsville, Democrat, as well as many other pro-immigrant Democrats, are real incensed and mad at Chuck Schumer, because the newspaper of the Color Times kind of played it as, it's no big deal, the shutdown was nothing, because basically anybody that analyzes it, indeed it looks like Chuck Schumer, if you will, and the Democrats caved in, meaning, and the way the media has reported it after the Democrats caved and the government shut down, they said, look at the failure of Trump. I read one or saw one. Said, because he's not doing the American deal. Well, if you win the shutdown, which Trump won, it's not that you lost. So it's just a constant on MSNBC. Now this shows you how many leaders in the Democrat Party, and even in the media, they do not count the people they claim to represent as being intelligent or smart at all. They demean those people. Why? MSNBC had a discussion last night. They talked about why did the pro-immigration Democrats in New York City, my mom was from Brooklyn, New York, before she moved not too far to the New Jersey side of the Hudson River. But I guess Chuck Schumer still lives in Brooklyn. Many Democrats that were pro-immigrant were mad at Chuck Schumer. types of things. And what MSNBC said last night was these Hispanics and Democrats, they're still being manipulated by Russia. Meaning the reason some of them were protesting, or all of them, this is their narrative now, they were protesting because what Russia has done now, this was on the news, this is NBC, what Russia has done now is got into all the tweets, all the Facebook and all that, and one of the hashtags, show the memo, which is kind of trending on Twitter, which is, they want to see a particular memo that Nunez is going to put. But what they're saying is, it's really the Russians that have convinced even these pro-immigrant Hispanic Democrats, the Russians have convinced you should be there at Chuck Schumer. That was part of what they said. You know how arrogant. You don't think a Hispanic Democrat, whether he's out of Brownsville, or whether they live here in Corpus Christi, or whether they're pro-immigrants in the New York City area, you don't think that they're capable to simply form their own opinion, that they felt like the leadership of the Democratic Party let them down? But you actually, and this was the discussion, that the Russians somehow, through the tweeting of particular hashtags, which they convinced Hispanic people to be mad. It's so degrading that you even see your own base that way. That this representative out of Brownsville, look, I read his articles, I kind of liked him. He's kind of, out there. But no, you just got tricked by the Russians. So the media is living really they're living in a delusional state at this stage of the game. And the acceptance of Mr. Trump in Davos, Switzerland, look, there's a lot of intelligent Democrats and all that are also surprised today that Mr. Trump received like this type of praise that he's receiving, because they bought into. Look, a lot of them, people are mad that Trump got in. It's a case a year now. Do we play into racial things? It's easy to play into it. Mr. Schumer, he's a Jewish man, correct? Some people are mad because what Schumer said was, if we have to spend money on the wall, which is border security, which many Democrats have claimed they're okay with money for border security. I've heard them say this time and time again. It's just they don't want the wall. But Schumer basically said, if it's a matter of money for a wall or amnesty for the 800,000 dreamers, I don't think it's worth the money. Now that could play into racial stereotypes. You don't think they're worth that much, Mr. Schumer? I think they actually have just lost their way. They lost their way. The texts have been retrieved. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. The 50,000 texts, the Inspector General of the Justice Department, I think his name is Michael Horowitz, they have recovered those texts. So we're going to see how much people, if you're within, people are talking today, and I heard some Republicans yesterday say things like, and they don't agree with Mr. Trump's tweets, and they're saying that you might have a few bad apples within the FBI, or you might have a few in policing, you might have a few in, they said, but you don't judge them all by that. The problem with this is Mr. Strokes is the one that was involved in all this type of talk, which you could see he used his authority to sway things. He was highly involved in the interviews of people, and even in the interviews now going into the Russia thing. So it's not just a matter of a few bad apples. It's a matter of, you don't want somebody that has made statements and intentions that we're going to do all we can to remove this man if he ever gets elected. And that's a key decision-making person. Now Trump, so that's more than just you don't judge them all by one bad apple. It's the one bad apple was using his influence, and he revealed it by all these texts. There were many in the legal community that were shocked when Mr. Comey gave the famous speech. Hillary was mad at him because it was the investigation before the election. But when he said all the things she did, and then at the end he said, but we don't think it meets the criteria. And people that looked at it said the investigation on what they did with the emails and all. And so it's obvious there was a lot of partiality. Okay, so that's just the update. Locally, tragically, somebody was shot in the head last night. A robbery, I think it said on Weber and one area here in Corpus Christi. And I'm glad you saw little Valentine. She's happy. She likes to. The animals have no political. They trust us to take care of them. Humans. So today, this is just. I figured I'd do that one. I just kind of almost just wanted you to see the nice dog. She's a real nice dog. Her name is Valentine. And we'll see what happens next. I found it just offensive that now the narrative in the media was that the Russians are continuing, and this was on NBC, a division of NBC. The Russians are continuing to convince you Democrats, particularly you Hispanics. I wonder if Mr. Schumer holds that view, that the Hispanics and the pro-immigration people who were protesting outside of his home in Brooklyn, I wonder if he holds that view, that they can't form opinions on their own. They couldn't, the Russians tricked them. I think this country the media is in a state of delusion.